Alright everyone, here we go again with some more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And we finally learned that our great detective Sholmes is alright, and we're about to hit off into another trial to defend Gina. So I hope you all continue to enjoy watching, and let's keep it rolling, guys. When I awoke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. Outside the window, the rain came down in the sheets. And so began an even longer day than the last. One that I would remember for the rest of my days. 17th of April, 9:32 a.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Good morning, Gina. I'm determined to prove your innocence today. I'm sure we can do it. I didn't get that. Let me read that. So where's your friend then? Sorry? You know, her in the fancy dress. Susato, or however you say it, I don't know. Miss Susato had to leave early this morning. She was already gone by the time I woke up. You alright with that, are ya? Forget about me if you like. Go and see her off. It's fine. It's not as though Miss Susato and I won't meet again one day. Even so. But you, Gina, you only get one chance. This trial today is all we have. Good morning, you two. Oh, she's here. How are you feeling, Ginny? Did you manage to sleep? Iris! What are you doing here? What do you mean? When a friend is in need, we show our support. Isn't that right, Waggy? The cat's happy, so yeah. Waggy! Great way to show your support, kitty. Let him have a nose around. What arm can you do? Oh, that reminds me. I bought a paper on the way here. Now, would you like a good news or the bad news? What do you say, Bruno? Ginny? Oh, well, I think I'd rather get the bad news out of the way first. Nah, always take the good news first. You might not live to hear the bad. I see she's not a half-glass full kind of person. Yes, that question always gives away people's personalities. Let's not go there. Alright then, I'll give you the bad news first. A record amount of rain has fallen this morning, and carriages all over the capital are struggling to move. Huh? The bad news was a weather report? So I hope that Susie made her train to Dover and that the train hasn't delayed on its way to the port. Gosh, yes. Alright then, so what's the good news? Well, the rain is forecast to subside this afternoon. So even if the rain is delayed, it should be able to make up the time later. Well, that is good news, isn't it? I couldn't give a monkey's, really. If only all good news canceled out the bad. And look, this trial's made the headlines too. Pawnbrokers perishes in pick purse plunder, see? How'd you like that? Well, let them say what they want, see if I care. I can't because you're covering your face. Don't worry, Bruno, we'll soon show everyone that his headline is nonsense. That this headline, sorry. I will. And then, in tomorrow's papers, the headlines will be... Discharged diver is dauntless do-gooder. Isn't that right, Bruno? Oh, yes, let's hope so. Of course they will. I have absolute faith in you. How was that? I was trying to sound like Susie. Did it work? Did it? It's like she was still here. Alright, we got paper now. Good luck then, Bruno. I'll do what I can. Obviously, I don't know the law like Susie does, but still. I'll be by your side the whole time, giving you moral support and encouragement. I'm not sure that big thing is as comforting as you think it is, to be honest, but... Thank you, Iris. That's very kind of you. Oh yeah, Iris. Yes, Ginny? Well... I was wondering is all about Sholmes. Did they fix him up alright? Yes, the operation was a great success. But... Currently still hasn't come around yet. Eh? I've asked a friend of mine in Scotland Yard to send a telegram as soon as he wakes up. I'm sure Gregson will let us know the moment there's news. Oh, right. No Susato-san and no Sholmes. It's all down to me today to prove that Gina's innocent of this crime. Miss Gina Lestrade, counsel for the defense, the trial's about to begin. Please make your way into the courtroom. It's time then. Yes, let's go, Gina. Iris. Lead the way, Bruno. Poor Gina. She's trying to put on a brave face, but I can tell she's worried and scared. I have to believe in her from start to finish. That's the weapon that will secure our victory here. If I learned anything from my great friend, it's that. Alright, 17th of April, 10 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. I see the Reaper's back. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. This trial shall determine the guilt or innocence of Miss Gina Lestrade. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready. Lord Van Zieks, my lord, remind me, how many years ago was it that you withdrew from the public prosecution service? It was some 5 years ago, my lord. Yes, and then 2 months ago you resurfaced somewhat unexpectedly, and here you are again today. Are there some circumstances of which the court should be aware that have led to this erratic behavior? In what one might describe as your former life 5 years past, you dealt exclusively in matters concerned with the highest echelons of society and government. Really? Yet today you chose to try a simple case of burglary and murder. I confess I find it more than a little befuddling, counsel. There are two types of person I cannot abide. Firstly, those wealthy scoundrels who hide behind a mask of philanthropy to cheat the public at large. He means Mr. McGilded, who you defended against the Reaper 2 months ago. Yes, I just about managed to work that out, thank you. Magnus McGilded, if I'd known what a monster he was, I never would have defended him. And secondly, even more loathsome, those wily scoundrels who masquerade as allies only to effect total betrayal in the final hour. In other words, the confidence tricksters from those tiny islands in the Far East, the Nipponese. What? Did he really just say that? He means you now, Bruno. I actually managed to work that out too. Thank you, Iris. Total betrayal? What are you talking about? That torrid look of hatred in Lord Van Zieks' eyes. Was that directed solely at me, or was he talking about all Japanese people? An alarmingly scathing explanation, Lord Van Zieks. Still, the judiciary welcomes the return of the so-called Reaper of the Bailey, feared by all London's malefactors. Your lordship is too kind. Now, jurors. The 6 of you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to hear the evidence placed before you and determine the guilt or innocence of the defendant? Oh, okay, we got... Oh, they're about the same. Except for that one. Number 3, I think. Former lieutenant in the British Army here, don't you know? Chaps like me were born ready. Clean crockery, clean cutlery, and clean conscience. His lordship's motto is very appropriate here, I think. This one here is new. Everything will be stereoscopic in the future. Absolutely. Absolutely everything, and I'm ready for it. I don't understand it. I can't have left it in there. It's not possible, but could I have? Women indispensable in society? Stop. Female-centric future awaits? Stop. It's this guy. The guy in the paper when I was being framed for murdering my friend. Forgot his name already. The Russian dude. Good day, I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take a bus to Crystal Tower, please. Is something wrong, Runo? Oh, not exactly. It's just... I'm fairly sure I recognize these jurors. Almost all of them, in fact. Really? Funny coincidences like that do happen from time to time, don't they? But it is quite strange. The jurors are chosen at random from London's 6 million inhabitants, you know? But so I've been led to believe, but something tells me I'm being duped. Very well, now Lord Van Zeeks. The court calls upon the prosecution to introduce the facts of the case. As you wish, my lord. Allow me to begin with a word of warning to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. In short, there has never been a more self-evident case of cold-blooded murder. The victim, Mr. Pop Windebank, proprietor of pawn shop on Baker Street, was shot from behind and died instantly. The prosecution presents this photographic print of the crime scene. As the court will observe, there is a single bullet wound just below the gentleman's left shoulder. The evidence suggests that the bullet pierced the man's heart, resulting in near-instant death. Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. And what's that supposed to tell us? It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Someone like the accused, you might say. Or someone like McGill did. Oh! The prosecution wishes to present the autopsy report and crime scene photograph as evidence, my lord. Indeed, the court accepts. Hand them to the bailiff, please. I now ask the court to turn its attention to this plan of the establishment where the incident occurred. The proprietor was found in a storeroom where he kept articles pawned to him. A windowless room with a single point of entry, a door to the main shop that was found locked. In this sealed chamber, there were only 2 persons present. The victim, Mr. Windebank, and the accused. It may further interest the court to know that when the accused was discovered at the scene, she had in her hand the gun used to fire the fatal bullet. Well, that's that then, isn't it? Nothing more to say. Isn't that... she's one of those filthy drafts that live in the slums in the East End. Oh well, it's only a matter of time before she got blood on her hands then. What are the jurors waiting for? The girl's guilty as hell. We can't jump to conclusions here. We mustn't assume her guilt because of what she has to do to survive. Ah, this guy, man. He just doesn't stop. My learned Nipponese friend. It is you who mustn't jump to conclusions. The prosecution has barely begun presenting its case. Conveniently, this appalling act of murder did not go unobserved. There were witnesses. Good gracious! After their testimony, this girl's true nature will be exposed. Pitiful pick-purse or cold-hearted killer. Here's to establishing the truth. The court will take the floor plan and firearm into evidence. Hand them to the bailiff, please, Lord Van Zeeks. At once, my lord. Alright, now we got the crime scene floor plan. And the gun. This isn't good. I feel like the mood in here has turned very gloomy all of a sudden, Runo. I think that's because it has. Oh, this guy's going all out already. Let us begin. Bring forth the witnesses to the foul murder of Mr. Pop Windebank on 16th of April this year. We got Gregson and those two newbies as witnesses. State your names and occupations for the court. Name's Nash Skulkin. Occupation is baddie. Professional baddie. Name's Ringo Skulkin. Occupation's same as him. Tobias Gregson, Scotland Yard Inspector. That's right. We're what they call the Three Skulking Brothers. Wait, he's part of it? What are you looking at me like that for? Don't let me in with you lot. Blimey, that's code. Don't you know what we're going through? It's our brother. It's our older bruv. Lost contact with him. We have. So we're scouring every shady corner of the capital. And then last night we come across you, the very spit of the bloke. Ain't that right, Ringo? He is, Nash. He is. The very spit of him. So we decided there and then what we was gonna do. We was gonna call ya Big Bruv Sulky. Big Bruv. Oh, I can't read this, man. It's hard sometimes. Big Bruv Sulky. Come on, leave it out, you two. Sulky Skulkin, and that's before he's run out of chips. Well then, Inspector Sulky Gregson. Begging your pardon, my lord, but the name's Tobias. What I would like to know, Inspector, is what you are doing in the witness stand. The Skulkin brothers are currently under arrest, my lord, on suspicion of theft. Thieves, are they? These three? No, my lord. Begging your pardon, but please don't let me in with this lot. 2 nights ago, these two brothers illegally entered an establishment with intent to burgle. And in the course of their nefarious activities, they became embroiled in a far more sinister crime. By Jove, you mean to say... What an extraordinary coincidence! Indeed, my lord. While attempting to burglarize the pawnbrokery, they witnessed its proprietor's murder. Order! Order! The various trespasses of these brothers is not the subject of today's proceedings, though they will naturally face trial in the very near future. With your lordship's permission, I'd like to remain in the stand to keep these gents on the straight and narrow. Of course, Inspector. Skeptical as I am about the caliber of these witnesses, I will permit them to take the stand. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you will now testify before the court. Describe the events of the night in question and what exactly you saw. Happy to. Because a Skulkin's never skulkin'. Get out. Get out of it. Alright, witness testimony. Let's go. Illegal entry. We was walking down Baker Street in small hours, and the gaff's door was ajar, see? It was like some kind of sign begging for us to go in, it was. But once we got inside, blimey, we heard a gunshot from the back room. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked from the inside. We never done nothing, governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that nice and quiet. A terrible coincidence it would seem. At the precise moment these miscreants entered the property, an even more sinister crime was afoot. The witness testimony is consistent with the crime scene in every detail. The door providing access to the storeroom from the main shop was indeed locked from the inside, and within, only the victim and the accused were found. I must say, it does appear to be an overwhelmingly simple case. Still, the defense may cross-examine the witnesses now, of course. Counsel, if you please. Counsel? Yes. What's the matter, Runa? Sorry, I was just stunned into silence for a minute by the blatant lies being told by that pair in the stand. I know that's all nonsense because I saw it with my own eyes. I'll just have to expose their testimony for the pack of lies it is. Alright, let's do this. Legal entry. We was walking down Baker Street in small hours and the gas door was ajar, see? Hold it! The front door of Window-Banks was ajar, you say? What time of night was this? Must have been about 1, right, Ringo? Yeah, I'd say so. Right, Sulky? How would I know? The place would have been shut at 1 in the morning, just like every other shop in town. Well, it was pitch black inside, it's true. Ain't that right, Ringo? I'm not so sure, Nash. I seem to remember a little light burning inside. What about you, Sulky, me old mucker? Leave me alone. There definitely was a small lamp burning inside. That's what alerted us to the situation in the first place. And when these gentlemen ventured into the open establishment, the accused Miss Gina Lestrade already had the muzzle of her gun trained on their unfortunate victim. Objection! That is pure conjecture. Ha, perhaps, but it changes nothing. These brothers inadvertently wandered into the middle of the cold-blooded murder, simply because they found the door of the victim's establishment open and ventured inside. Right, that's what happened. It was like some kind of sign begging for us to go in, it was. I don't question everything. Hold it! What are you trying to suggest, that you had to go in? Well, God moves in mysterious ways, they say, don't they, Ringo? They do, Nash, they do. Must have been some sort of providence, I reckon. God's will often presents itself as the whim of thieves, does it? It weren't no whim, I'm dead sure of that. It weren't, Nash, it weren't, like we said at the time. Yeah, don't just find doors open in the middle of the night like that. Nah, there's no two ways about it. It was a sign that our long-lost brother was inside. They're not very good liars, are they? Well, you can't deny it. It led us to a bloke what looks just like our bruv. I said, cut it out. Those chips are getting chomping today. But once we got inside court, blimey, lummy, we heard a gunshot from the back room. Hold it! A gunshot, you say? Just the one? Are you sure about that? Yep, just the one, governor. I can swear to that. It was, Nash, it was. Ain't that right, bruv? The firearm used to belong to the victim himself. Yes, Mr. Winterbank always used to leave his gun lying around on the counter. Right, I remember. When we examined it, we found the revolver was completely out of rounds. That makes sense. Mr. Winterbank always used to say he never kept a single bullet loaded. That's true, I remember him saying that as well. So we can say with considerable certainty that only a single round was discharged from the firearm used as the murder weapon. Yes, my lord, we can. And I should remind the court that the firearm in question was discovered in the hand of the accused. Wonderful. We went to see what was what, but the door was locked on the inside. Hold it! Do you mean the door between the main shop and the storeroom? If my learned friend is having difficulty grasping the situation, perhaps a drawing would help. Excluding the shop's entrance from the street, there is only one other door, that of the storeroom. Because there was only a little oil lamp burning, not much to see by. And the door was hidden behind a curtain and all. That's right. When we arrived, the door was mostly obscured by the curtain. Tell me, why exactly did you try to open that door? Any normal petty thief would run at the sound of the gunshot, I should think. Oh, well, your turn to rabbit, Ringo. Well, Nash, yeah. I suppose you'd have to say we ain't normal, huh? Broadly speaking, humans respond in one of two ways on hearing a gunshot or scream. The timid flee, gripped by fear, while the courageous investigate to see if they might help. These gentlemen are of the latter inclination, my learned Nipponese friend, it would seem, is of the former. Alright, somehow I just proved that I was a coward that night. Thank you, counsels. So, I believe we all understand that the door was locked and could not be opened. Proceed, witnesses. We never done nothing, governor. We never took nothing. We just left after that, nice and quiet. Hold it! You didn't do or take anything, is that your story? Well, it was bedlam soon as weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't have time to pull me dukes out of me Lucy lockets. So with no time to take your hands out of your pockets, you just left nice and quietly, you say. That's right, governor. Nothing we ain't more than violence. Peace-loving nibblers we are, not bludgers. We are, Nash, we are. Never even pulled me dukes out of me Lucy lockets. So you'd clearly like us to believe. Come again? As you fled from the pawnbrokers that night, did you not run into anyone else? And did you not fire a gun at that person? Saints alive, they fired a gun, you say? Ah! Blimey, governor. You ain't telling us it was you in the doorway. It was. Why the bleeding Nora? Didn't you mention that before? You were armed with a gun, and as you fled the scene, you fired that gun. At London's greatest detective, Herlock Sholmes. They shot the great Mr. Sholmes? I did hear that, actually. There was a rumor he'd been rushed to hospital. The great Sholmes? That's beyond the pale. On the night in question, this pair were arrested by the police within minutes of the discovery of the crime scene. Their suspicious countenance rapidly gave them away. And when searched, a firearm was indeed found in their possession. Furthermore, the barrel shows signs of a shot having been fired from it. The prosecution invites his lordship to examine the firearm recovered from these brothers. Yes, indeed, remnants of powder around the muzzle, as you say, counsel. The court will hold this weapon as evidence. Alright, good to know. Oh, I'm glad you have time to pour more wine for yourself, dude. Now, my learned Nipponese friend. Yes? Here's to your successfully presenting the evidence. For yes, there are the telltale signs of spent powder on this gun and a single bullet missing from the cylinder. But the prosecution demands evidence that it was fired at the scene of the crime under scrutiny in this trial. Objection! Well, I don't need evidence, because I was there.
Objection!
However, the rest of us in this courtroom were not. If the defense fails to provide evidence in support of its rash claim, we shall have no choice but to toast your incompetence and move on. Evidence that these two fired that gun before they left Windibanks that night? The court demands that all claims are affirmed with clear proof. What evidence shows that these witnesses unloaded a firearm in a pawnbroker's shop that night? Alright, I think... find it.
Take that!
The evidence is in this portfolio. What on earth have you there, counsel? During the course of our investigations, we discovered a number of bloodstains. Not trusting the police to do the job they're trained to do. How arrogantly Nipponese of you. Well, anyway, we analyzed all the blood samples we found and recorded the results in this portfolio. And you claim to have the evidence the court is demanding therein? Yes, my lord. No more dallying then, counsel. Present the pertinent evidence at once. What do you have in your portfolio that proves these witnesses unloaded a firearm at the scene? Which sample shows the men fired the shot in the pawnbroker? This one.
Take that!
What is that? Explain. It's a photographic print taken at Windibank's pawnbrokery on the day of the incident. From the scene of the crime, is it? Is that a bullet hole? And if my eyes do not deceive me, it appears the bullet is still lodged there. Yes, as your lordship noticed, the bullet pierced Mr. Windibank's calendar. The date shown being the 16th of April, the very day of the pawnbroker's death. The incident occurred at 1 hour after midnight, but this indicates that a separate shot had been fired sometime after the calendar had been set to the 16th. That's right, and while it isn't irrefutable, the defense believes this is credible evidence that the witnesses did fire a round from their gun in the pawnbrokers that night. Ah! Order! How does the prosecution stand, Lord Van Zeeks? He's gonna throw it. If that is the direction my learned friend wishes to take, the prosecution has no objection. What? There it is. But you'll forgive me for flinging my hallowed chalice aside in disgust at the repugnancy it exposes. Yes, on the night in question, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery illegally. And like the bold baddies they claim to be, opened fire on the new arrivals before fleeing back into the street. Eh? Take it easy there, Governor. You're gonna land us in the soup. We had a deal. You weren't gonna get into them details. Tell him, Sulky. Set the bloke straight. I have nothing to add. So he knew, did he? Van Zieks knew their testimony would almost certainly expose the extent of their crimes. It would seem now that I owe my learned Nipponese friend a word of gratitude. What do you mean? What I mean is that you have helpfully confirmed an important fact. To what fact do you refer, Lord Van Zieks? As has been established at the point of their arrest, a single shot had been fired from the brother's gun. However, if that shot found its target in Mr. Sholmes, then clearly these witnesses cannot be accused of the fatal shooting of the proprietor and victim. In other words, these two men have no material connection to the murder of Mr. Windibank at all. So that's it. That's it. We didn't have nothing to do with it. We didn't, Nash. We didn't. That's what I reckon. Ah, damn. It's so hard to read that. Your crimes include unlawful entry, intent to steal, perjury, and, let us not forget, attempted murder. Quite a catalog, fellas. We're in for it now, bruv. Now then, let's take a moment to consider the aforementioned great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It would seem the man patronized the pawnbrokers in question somewhat regularly. Alright guys, I'm gonna have to end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. When we come back, we're gonna continue on with this exciting trial.